welcome to the next episode, The Adventures of Joe and Brian, as we seek to unravel the mysteries of the Sunday morning service.
It started weak. But it got stronger.
It did.
If you felt a little tentative, like, oh, I'm actually being recorded now. Welcome. You got to go. You got to bite off that first
welcome.
Word. That's better, man.
I gotta get the movie trailer kind of voice going on. So,
yeah, sure. And just get a little closer to the microphone.
Get a little closer. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. I am not going to ask you how are you, because I clearly got hand slapped on Sunday about that question. So I'm going to ask you a different question. What was one high or low for you this week?
When you say this week, because it's only Tuesday, this will be
in the last 7 days.
High, I would say leading worship on my back porch to the neighbors' kids across the way. They could have cared less that I was there. I don't, but just the idea that I could be on my back porch singing worship songs, and that there could be people listening that were unanticipated, kind of like when we're online. That there was something about that I'm like, hey, this is a little awkward, and I'm going to embrace it. That, yeah, I'm your neighbor who leads worship on his back porch, and I hope that, actually, I hope you're good with it, because I'm good with it. So that was there, and then I would say the low point was maybe 4:30 that same day, as it was starting to get darker, because I recorded all those bits at separate times. So I recorded the intro twice as a practice at about 10 in the morning. Then I recorded worship, and then I recorded the intro again. Then I went back and revamped the message, and it was getting close to 4 o'clock, and I knew I was going to lose light. And I'm like, I have to, I was feeling all of that stuff. Yeah. And so, but then I felt that when it was over, when I was done recording, it was just like, oh, okay. I felt that peace that comes with that. So it was really all about the message. Which it usually is. When it's something that is, to me, is important, then I carry the weight of that.
I appreciate that. You don't take it lightly. So,
well, the first time I ever did a sermon, I didn't take it lightly, but I did a terrible job. Not at this church. It was at another church. Mm-hmm. And, I worked hard on it. I just didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have anybody to mentor me. So I really benefit here that I get to bounce things off of you, and occasionally you'll go, hey, maybe you could think about it this way or whatever. By the way, my family's going to be dealing with recycling and garbage while we're recording, so just thought I'd throw
I have
that
a
out there.
text. I have no idea who it is, and
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, it's your turn. We decided last episode, I don't think we announced it, that we would start each episode with the person, like whoever didn't give the message, doing a recap.
I'm going to ask you questions.
Right, you get to ask me questions, but have to start.
I'm going to flip the switch, though, a little bit here. So
right.
Here's what I want to do. I want to say, this is what I heard. You tell me if that's what you intended.
Sure.
As a starting. What I heard was this really, really good, profound question of, what weight are you carrying? And that the basic idea was, if the weight you're feeling is things like frazzled or heavy or tired or some of those kinds of words, then you're probably carrying the wrong weight, and you need to carry Jesus's weight rather than yours.
Yeah.
Is that close?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. The thing that drew me in is just the beginning of the scripture. Are you weary and burdened? And because that's how I felt after June 6th, with the riot at the Capitol. I just went,
January 6th, yeah.
What did I say?
June.
Oh, yeah, not June 6th. The
6th.
The 6th of this
Yeah, you
month.
felt
Yeah.
really so. Yeah, that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask, is what prompted you? I know you changed. What prompted you to do this sermon? Who you feel like you're talking to? What what was it that caused this sermon?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I went in with thinking 1 Corinthians 10, and which was inspired by an interaction I saw that was unhealthy on social media with some people that were Christian friends of mine beating each other up. And that felt after the 6th, I kind of went, that's toxic. And I don't want to carry that right now. I really want to offload some stuff. And that's when I started thinking about that song by Brian Dirksen, Into the Rest of God, that is from Matthew. And I went, yeah, I need that. I need that right now. And then I actually thought of Deb Yeager specifically. Actually, she sent me an email that said, I felt like that was just for me. And to be honest, a lot of it was for her. And I don't know why, but sometimes, you kind of feel like people need to hear something or...
Turning off my phone.
Yeah, that's right. I can't turn off the garbage, but or the recycling. So yeah, that was kind of what did it for me, is just going, man, I do feel tired. I feel burdened. And I have gone through the experience of like purging. Here's something that's not good for me. I don't, this is fun, but it's not how I want to invest my time in that. And I'm like, well, is this a resolution that is unfulfilled? Because I haven't put things in place to really be free of some of this stuff that I really I feel heavy. So anyway, long answer.
Saying you were feeling frazzled. You were feeling heavy. I really, really loved, as I said right before we started recording, several things. One is the question is just been on my brain all week, and I know it was to a lot of others. It's such a great question, but also your vulnerability, honestly, was amazing, and I know that is not normal for you. You're a deeply emotional person. I'm sorry, I'm outing you there a little bit, but I love your heart, and I love seeing it on display. It really spoke to me, and I know it spoke to other people too. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you were willing to go there? Because you don't normally go there.
Well, part of it is having time. If if you and I go have a cup of coffee, that given enough time, I'll explore a lot of stuff. I process out loud, I like to bounce things off of people. I may start out feeling a certain way, and the more I talk about it and the more I process that, the more it kind of helps me to focus on how I feel. In a worship leader setting, there's really, it's the same reason why the question, how are you, drives me crazy, is because for me to truly answer that question, I need a half hour. And otherwise it feels, just, oh yeah, I'm fine, and that's not an answer. So the fact that I was by myself was also another thing, because it felt like I was praying in many regards, because I'm sitting there and I'm talking, and I know I'm talking to people, but because of the isolation of that, it also felt very, very prayerful in that regard.
Oh, I think you deeply, I feel like, connected to people in that setting. Certainly I felt very much connected to you, and in some of your questions, I'm like, oh, it's like, wow. Not only can I personally resonate with them, like I've had the same question, but also it's like, I understand you better, and I feel it sounds a little odd. I love you more because you shared your heart with me. And so I just really, that, man, do that. Keep being that way, Joe, in your messages. It was fantastic. So
I am incredibly flattered and surprised because I came away going, well, that was not one of my strongest efforts, and I hope that people are okay with it. That's how I felt.
no, really. I mean, even as you said to me before, I'm going to disappear for like 2 minutes in the middle of the thing. It's like, no, that was perfect.
Oh, yeah, the rapture.
Because I felt like you had just told us to get something or to write down what we're thinking about. I think that's what it was. It's like, well, of course you're going to step away and do something else for a moment while I'm doing something. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I didn't even realize why you had. It's like, all right. All right. It was so interactive, and it was like, I feel like I was on your back porch talking to you.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was fantastic. Now, is there things in your message that you wish you could have clarified, or that you hadn't said maybe, or that you could have put in that you didn't?
There were things that I cut out, but one of the things that Vanessa asked me later, because she didn't watch it. I didn't let her watch it. I'm like, I don't need to watch myself for another 30 minutes. I'm fine. But, what's it about?
That's awkward, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one thing to watch yourself sing, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to watch yourself preach. But go ahead.
Yeah, you become I listen to myself talk a lot as part of my vocation. However, a lot of times they're other people's words. And when they're your own words, you hear them come out and you go, if I could have done that. And it took me a long time to decide to listen to myself sing, recognizing that, I could have breathed better here, which means I would have had more support. I could have gotten that note better. I will have to learn to go back and listen to myself teach so that I can go, you know what? I didn't hit that very well. So one of the things, to answer your question, that I thought of was that I think of, how I kind of broke out, what emotionally or mentally, spiritually are the things, not just your activities, but what are the things in your head, in your heart that you're carrying. And I wish I would have broken those out into really kind of two categories, because there are those people who are like, you'll forgive the term, like pack animals, right? Mm-hmm. They'll carry whatever you put on them, and they'll work hard until they collapse, and they're helpers, and that's like me in terms of I want to help people, I want to be present for people, and there's a point where, a not so subtle point, where all of a sudden that collapses and that turns into resentment, and you've experienced that with me. Yes. Now, there's other people that I think, are, I guess, clutchers. It's a weird word, but they're holding on to certain things and holding them so precious to the exclusion of other things. And that's where I was going. I mean, the people that we know who get fixated on one specific sin, or the interpretation of one book of the Bible, or this policy issue or whatever. And instead of, it gets very heavy, right? If you've ever tried to hold on to something
even if it's light,
right,
any length of time.
Right.
Yes.
Like a pencil, right? If you hold on to a pencil and you're writing all day, you start to cramp up and stuff, and then you're not good at it anymore. And then it's really easy to lose sight of other things. And that kind of goes to the right weight, is like, if you're so fixated on holding this thing tightly, then you can't be carrying these other burdens that Christ wants you to carry. So I think there was an opportunity there to explore that a bit.
Yeah, that's helpful. I feel like one of the main things the point of your sermon was just simply to make the observation of, you're probably holding on, carrying the wrong weight. What is that? Figure it out so that you can start to address it. And it almost is like, and I think that's enough to say. Sometimes I think we preachers try to say too much in a sermon. And I don't think you did. I think you said the right amount. So,
Well, I felt it was almost a cop out when I'm like, I don't have the answer, but I don't. I mean, it's like, I don't know what you're carrying, and I don't know how you need to put it down. I just don't know. I mean, I know what you should be carrying, but you can't get there until you let this stuff go. And I don't know what your stuff is. You know, that's why you have that piece of paper.
No, yeah. Yeah.
And I had to think about for myself, well, okay, what are you going to do, Joe? And I'm like, oh, I don't know yet. All right. Well, and I didn't write it down. I didn't write it down. So I do have a notebook here. I've got my piece of paper, and I need to write that down. Sorry, Sam's
I can't hear him, so it's fine.
Oh, okay, cool. He's right. He was right there playing with the dog.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Awesome. So. But yeah, do as I say, not as I do. That kind of thing.
Well, no, I feel like you really modeled it, and you started that. You felt like you were a poster child for your sermon, which I often feel the same way. That whatever I'm preaching about, that's what I'm going through. I don't know if it's God intended or it's just how it works or whatever it is, but my best sermons are ones that I'm living. Yeah, and I'm often living them, and so that makes sense, and I appreciated that. About now, here's the question I had. Is another one was, what degree do you think, or what's the relationship between what you are thinking about, your thinking habits, and what weight you're carrying?
Oh, well, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score that talks about the relationship between kind of what's going on in your mind and how it presents itself in your body. So, and not to get too deep into it, but I know that if I am in a good mental, spiritual, emotional state, I can get 6 hours of sleep and wake up feeling completely refreshed. And I can get 9 hours of sleep when I'm not carrying the right weight, and I'll wake up and I'm tired all day. I mean, that was a lot of what 2020 was for me, is feeling tired all the time. In fact, it halfway through the year, I'm like, I got to stop saying, when people, how are you doing? Saying I'm tired. Mm-hmm. Because it didn't feel like a badge of honor. It didn't feel like I was doing a whole lot of work. It just felt like I don't have any energy. I wrote a song 25 years ago, about what's the first thought when you wake up in the morning, and it was directed toward God. You're my first thought when I wake up in the morning. You're my, I can't even remember how it goes all the way, but when I wake up, what's on my mind? Is it something that I'm looking forward to? Is it something that I think I said it in the sermon, like, how am I going to let somebody down today? Right. If that is the dialogue that I start, which sometimes it is, it's like, I have so much going on today. There are so many things that are happening. What I find is that I can't accomplish anything, and I have space to do it, right? And so that self-defeatist kind of, that piece of it, where there is no peace, colors everything for the rest of the day. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a lot of kind of, one impacts the other, I find.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because one of the things that I thought about with that as a response was Philippians 4:9 and 10, which says, whatever is noble, true, good, all of those things, think upon these things, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and mind. And so the connection for me was, if we're thinking about all this angsty stuff and all this heavy stuff, well, no wonder we don't have peace. No wonder we're feeling frazzled or tired or heavy, which I am too. One of my words was unsettled.
Oh, yeah. Good word.
Tired was another one, but I had a reason for feeling tired. Right. I'm still recovering. But so just, so many of us have been just like focused on so many negative things happening around us that, of course, that's going to negatively affect our disposition and how we're feeling about life. whether we're thinking about COVID stuff or we're thinking about finances or we're thinking about politics.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heavy weight. Maybe I
Well,
need to disconnect from that stuff.
well, you talked a few weeks ago about praying and setting up date night with Jesus, kind of thing. And I think that's part of the right weight is, you hear about married couples who just have a tough time establishing a date night, and how do you make that a priority? Sometimes logistically that's difficult, and you're still got to figure out a way to make that happen. And if you're working on the healthy relationships, if you're saving, if that's the first rock you put in the jar, then there won't be as much room for you to clutch onto these other things that aren't healthy. Start with the thing that's healthy, that is the right weight, and it's hard to put a bunch of other garbage on top of you after that, which is so much easier said than done. I find it's so easy to get pulled into that, that you hit the reset button. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm where I need to be. It's almost like being on a diet, right? You're like, hey, I'm losing weight. I'm feeling good. And then you relax a little bit, and then you gain 20 pounds.
Yes, that's very common. Yeah. Yep.
The whole backsliding kind of piece of that, but more in a relational standpoint.
Right. So, is there any other you're watching the time. I don't. How are we doing on time?
Well, we're in about 22 minutes at this point.
Okay, how long are these things? I have no idea. You keep track of time, not me.
Oh, I try to keep us under 30 minutes, and it's pizza night, so I'm not going to let it go long.
Oh, okay. All right.
What were your other words?
Those were the main questions I had, was, just thinking about that, thinking about how we're going to do, how you applied it. Like I said, it deeply affected me in a positive way. And it's a perfect springboard for me into this next week. And I think that was one of the things that was so exciting to me, is like, oh, perfect. This is exactly what I needed to hear. It helped clarify where I need to go. And so I think it was fantastic. Fantastic. Did you have any questions about my sermon a couple weeks ago? And I know that's a long ways back.
If I remembered it, sure. No, it's
yeah, I can remember pieces of it, but so much has happened in the last 2 weeks. So.
Well, I had a couple questions for you, but not to do a sermon. As you said,
sure.
you had Unsettled, you had Tired. What was your third, if you don't mind sharing?
Joy.
Oh, okay. So you had a kind of like mine, where you had a couple of not positives, and then one that was positive.
Yeah, and it took me a minute to really think it through. There is always kind of an underlying beat. You called it blessed. I think that's a similar sense of just there's some really good stuff underneath all of it. That's kind of like a nice little baseline.
Yeah.
But on the surface, there's all of this. For me, it's unsettled. Was unsettled and tired, just because I'm, physically I'm still pretty tired. But other than that, yeah. So yeah, it's very similar.
And for folks who aren't aware, you had a medical procedure. I announced that on Sunday. I didn't explain what it was, but you're pretty close to recovered at this point.
Yeah, particularly in the last couple of days, I've really started. It was my very first surgery, actually.
All right.
I've never had a surgery before, and it was not what I expected. So, yeah, recovery. It was more pain than I expected, more blood than I expected, more. I took longer to get back fully than I expected.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone, but because Vanessa had. I'm not going to go into it, but she had the same procedure, and I remember, because they were going to had to go through the. Where they I keep wanting to say put you to sleep, anesthesiologist or whatever. There's a part of me that's always like, oh, I hope everything goes okay. And then, there's all the stuff that goes along with that particular procedure, which can be really disgusting. But we can talk about.
You could probably talk to Kathy, my wife, on that. Because from my perspective, it was like, all right, they put the little juice in there, and then evidently I did not immediately consciously go out, but I don't remember anything at
Yeah.
all. So it's like, all right. Yeah, there was no fear for me on any of this. It was much more uncomfortable. So that's some of the tired stuff with that. And then the unsettled is similar to, I think, what you're talking about with the heaviness, the sixth, the year, all that's going on. And yeah, I'm thinking a lot about how to think about that, how to address that. In the context of that, your question is just really, really resonated. So I think it's going to be, I don't want to say too much because I want to save it for Sunday.
Yeah.
But,
Well, you made me think of something as you were saying that, which is, I love how in the Bible, the structure of words is so important. The structure of sentences, that they put things in a specific order, in a specific way, because that context was important in the language at that time. And as you were saying that, I'm like, why do we have these two words, and then we have this third word that's a positive word? And then I started going, I feel heavy and frazzled, and still I feel blessed. You feel unsettled and tired, and still you feel joy. That I wonder how many people, as they were putting their words down, had a similar kind of thing where, yeah, I don't know. It was just something that kind of dawned on me.
If nothing else, what came to your mind first? What was the first word that came?
Yeah.
And hopefully people didn't put religiously words because they feel like they had to,
Right.
But yeah. Actually, I would say my first word might be unsettled.
Yeah.
I there was a couple of other words that were almost there, like fear or anger or, but I think ultimately unsettled is the correct word. But yeah, that was the first one. And then, and I'm tired, but underneath all of that, there's joy. Yeah. Wow, you just made me think this week, Joe.
Well, God is good, because he took me there. And I guess the last thing that I would say is that I told Vanessa this too, that whenever I start preparing, I think I'm headed one way. And the more time I spend doing the word studies and the cultural studies and those things, the more I'm like, that's really not where I'm supposed to be going. I need to go 35 degrees this way. And this is just another one of those cases where I'm like, oh, yep, I think I need to pivot a tiny bit. And I'm grateful for that.
And that those of you who are listening, you need to appreciate that's what Joe does. I'm outside, because that is a mark of someone who's really trying to tell you what God has to say, not what you have, not what Joe wants to say. You don't want to just get on a stump and, hey, I have an opportunity to tell people what I think about stuff. No, you're actually trying.
I do want to say that, but but I can't.
Right. But you really you want to be a vessel for God to talk to people, and that's what often happens to the good preachers is you're like, yeah, I think this is what I need to say, but then you get into it and it's like, nope. Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep. And I get that from you.
Good. Huh?
I get that from you. You're my mentor on this stuff, so I appreciate it.
Well, we're all trying. So.
Yeah.
Do you have any announcements? Anything we need to say before we end here?
No.
Check us out online.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We do try to end. Yes. Office at opendoorcommunity.cc. If you want to share anything with us, if you have questions about the message, questions about the church, if you need prayer, shoot us an email there. We do want to hear from folks. We're grateful that you are listening and that you're participating in these. It's really a blessing to have this opportunity to chat more about these things and explore these. at some point when we're able to gather together in person, it would be really cool if we're back on my back porch drinking coffee and doing this in person.
Yep. Yes, it would. All right. Well, thanks for coming, everybody, tonight, and may God bless you. We'll see you on Sunday. All right.